it's like it doesn't make sense, because you'd think the medicalisation or medical aspects of anything would be about the scientific aspects. And in this instance, related to birth, it's like somehow it's been lost. The actual science of birth shows that a birthing woman should not be disturbed, should not be in an environment of bright lights and strangers and in an energetic space of fear.
Hello, and a very warm welcome to Mother Mouth. This is a place where I would like to explore body connection, empowerment, and major rites of passages, really, which have become either so invisible and disregarded or medicalized and unmarked in our modern Western world. So I'm Stephanie Wechowski. I'm a herbalist, artist, and the mother of a 7-year-old daughter. And at the same time, I'm heading fast into the rite of passage of menopause. We are starting this podcast series with an exploration of the experience of birth and its physiology, that is actually birthing a child into this world from your womb, as it is the start of our embodiment here on earth, and also becoming a mother during our lifetimes is such a major shift. But I'm sure all this will organically evolve, or at least I'm hoping that it will, into many, many different subjects around all the important rites of passages in our lives and our place, power, and potential in this world. So this is a short epilogue which formed part of the conversation with Gauri in our previous episode about free birthing. I decided to publish this separately because it contains discussions about politics and mainly our opinions about the medicalisation of birth. So without any further ado, here we go. I mean, imagine that the actual prenatal care that we're getting on the NHS would actually include really informing women how the birthing process works physiologically, how it works with oxytocin, how counterproductive adrenaline is, and so on and so on. And I think, how different women's experiences would be.
Yes, I mean, even the history, if they knew where it had come from, and this how basically the medicalisation of birth has come from the oppression of women, and it's absurd. And yes, of course, it's like it doesn't make sense, because you'd think the medicalisation or medical aspects of anything would be about the scientific aspects. And in this instance, related to birth, it's like somehow it's been lost. The actual science of birth shows that a birthing woman should not be disturbed, should not be in an environment of bright lights and strangers and in an energetic space of fear or any kind of emotional energy that it's detrimental to the birthing process. And exactly what you said, informing women of that in itself. But I don't see how it works together with the midwives in the medical system, because it doesn't work together, because the whole thing of being monitored and it is disturbance. So until that is actually acknowledged, it does feel like it has to be a separate sphere, because both can't, unless the monitoring could be much less, and way more space around it. I don't see how it can work hand in hand, because if we were giving that kind of information out, then sure, people would be choosing not to have the monitoring, and then that would go against this whole world of protocols and risk and the illusion of safety that comes with the medicalisation, which is an illusion, and this question that comes all the time of, well, what if your baby dies? and what, the kind of, you're killing your baby if you don't do this and this and this. This is what women get. This is what women get all
the pressure.
The time.
It's crazy, which is nearly like, to me, it's actually, yeah. Sorry, but it's an abusive state because it's a threat that is being, and what kind of choice do you have? Well, none. You have to do what people are pushing you to do.
Yeah, I mean, you think you do, because it's so hard. It's such a work to step into a place of saying, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not actually like killing my baby if I don't get induced. It's like, but of course that talk, that energy is so full on. So yeah, giving women that knowing inside themselves, and unfortunately I don't see how it can be merged. It's a stepping away from what is existing at the moment, and it's like a revolution. It's happening because women are having such deeply traumatic experiences that they can't see a way of working with the system that they've struggled with previously, or even that it's not even to do with that. It's just a waking up from inside. Like I say, there's a deep commitment and a like waking up in your heart almost, when you're like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. And there's an innate knowing that comes from deep inside the womb that says, you can do this on your own. You can do this and it's still with the support that you might need, with somebody reflecting back your power, and with that self-care. Like, I'm not talking about doing this on your own, going to a cave and not like having to really deeply be resourced in all levels. It's not that. It's just finding a different way of caring for yourself through this, and honouring the rite of passage in a way that is supposed to happen in our nature, and not getting caught up with all this other ridiculousness. That's how I see it in relation to monitoring and risk factors and absolute bullshit. And most of it isn't even based on evidence.
It's not just, it's actually, it is being presented, I feel, quite often as something that is done for the benefit of the mother and the child and the safety of the mother and the child. But in actuality, if one unravels some of these things, it is more about protocol, and it's nearly more about a certain kind of insurance of the caregivers rather than the people that are being cared for, that they can say they have done the right thing. And it is sort of securing them rather than the mother and the child. And that is also a very tricky and complex and complicated unraveling, I think.
Absolutely.
But I mean, this is obviously my opinion and what I have sort of seen and unraveled myself around it.
Yeah.
But it's big.
It's very big. It is big. And
I mean, I would love, now I'm mentioning education system, i.e. there is supposed to be this biology and sex education, and obviously still, especially females, but males also, they are not being really made aware even what is happening at menarche or menarche, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce the word, and how to really work with the cyclicity of their bodies and so on and so on. So we are far away from that, and we are also then far away from that being, the birthing physiology and process being shared, which could be done in a very scientific way, being looked at school or wherever. So now I guess it has to be within,
I do agree,
the women's community, or the mothers and the grandmothers and so on, holding that space. But also, the postnatal care of, like, I've looked into a couple of cultures where there's always a kind of 40-day period where the mother is just at rest after birth, and is basically being pampered and looked after. So
That's
I think it is
how it should be.
incredibly important for recuperation and everything, and bonding and being held. So
yes.
Anyways, a lot more subjects to explore.
There's always more.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah,
really
a lot of food for thought.
Yeah.
So if this resonates with you and you haven't listened to the first podcast with Gauri, it is well worth doing so. If you found the podcast via one of the usual platforms like Apple or Spotify, then come and also visit my website at www.mothermouth.co.uk. Thank you so much for listening and being here. Bye for now.